So probably a while ago you remember doing the order of operations. Well, order of operations are an important part of algebra. It helps us to understand how equations are solved. So we're going to talk about the order of operations a little bit and come up with some algebra expressions. And the way we're going to do is we're going to do some number tricks, because I bet I can guess the number that you are thinking of. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like to take a minute and pick any number and then do these operations to that to determine your final value. Give it a shot. So I bet after doing all this that your number was 1. So if you did all the operations correct, if you followed the order of operations, you got 1. If you didn't, maybe you want to go back and check again. Hey, well, let's try one more. Again, choose any number, follow these steps. All right, so after you subtracted the original number from that value you found, you should have gotten that your number was -1. So by this time, you're probably saying, whoa, how'd he do that, man? But let's talk about how we do it. In order to do that, we're going to have to think about algebra a little bit. So remember when we start and we say choose any number? So that means we're going to start with a variable. I'm going to choose x. You can choose any number you want, any letter you want though. So now I'm going to build an expression. I'm going to choose my number. Starting with x, I'm going to add 4 to it. So now my expression becomes x plus 4. I'm adding 4 to it. Then I'm going to multiply that value by 3. Oh, please don't do this. Because what you're multiplying by 3 is the value x plus 4. So now we subtract 15. So we'll take 3 times that quantity x plus 4. And then we'll subtract 15. We're going to divide that result by 3. And then we're going to subtract our original number. Now, let's play with this a little bit. So first of all, suppose I do my distributive property. If I do my distributive property, that's going to give me on top 3x plus 12 if I distribute the 3 to both the x and the 4. Then I subtract 15. Now, combine like terms on the top. A 12 and a -15 give you a -3. If we keep moving a little bit, let me extend the page for a moment. Now, in order to divide these, think about dividing 3x by 3. When you divide 3x by 3, you're left with not 3, you're left with x. Likewise, think of dividing -3 by 3. You're left with -1. And then I'm going to bring down my subtract x. Again, combining some like terms, I have a positive x and negative x. So they're going to result in -1. So in this number trick, no matter what number you start with, your answer should be -1. Pretty cool. So take a look at this number trick that I have here. We're going to work backwards a little bit. So let's think about some of the steps of that number trick. See if you can write down what you're doing. I'll do the start for you at the beginning. So I always find my variable in the middle. So I'm going to start with x. And now think about what you're doing to that x. If I plugged a number in for x, what would you be doing? So first to the x, we're going to add the 7. That takes care of our numerator. Then we're going to divide by 4. That takes care of our fraction. Then to the fraction, we're going to add 5. Maybe I should number these. That was number 1, that was number 2, that was number 3, this is number 4. So after add 5, what do we do? We multiply it by 4. And that takes care of the entire expression, including the parentheses and the 4 on the outside. After that, we need to go left to right. So we're going to subtract the original number, that number that we started with, whatever we chose. And then we're going to add 13. So try that number trick now. See what you get. Test the number trick. Plug in a number of your own. Maybe do it twice and see what you get. Now, what's interesting is that think about which ones undo previous operations. If I'm looking up here, I see something here where I'm starting with x at the beginning, and then in step 6, I'm subtracting x. So that's going to cancel out my x value. Do you see one other one that's going to cancel things out? If you said multiply by 4 and divide by 4, you got it. Those are the two. So why number tricks? Well, number tricks do us a few things. First of all, it's going to help us translate between the English that we read, the verbals that we read, and the algebra. I like to say the algebra is its own language. We call it Mathlish. It's a lot like English, but we use math. Another great reason why we use number tricks is it helps understand the order of operations. Because as we'll see going on in the future, if we can understand the order of operations, we can undo them. Hey, do you think you know what undoing the order of operations will do for us? And the last thing is that number tricks are fun. You get to plug in some values. You might be able to stump a friend on it. So it's definitely some cool things to do. So check out these number tricks. It's order of operation practice.